Hi, this is Julie Lubinsky. I am the web manager for the Christopher and Dana Reed Foundation. I want to welcome you all to this month's edition of Dr. Dan On, and we're talking about love today, giving and receiving love. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Dan. He's a practicing psychologist and therapist with more than 40 years of experience. He's also a really good friend to the Christopher and Dana Reed Foundation. We've been working together for quite a while. He answers a lot of questions on our online community under Healing the Heart, the Heart and Mind, and you can find that at christopherreed.org/Dr. Dan. And we are so lucky to have him once a month to chat live with him. So I'm going to now turn it over to Dr. Dan, and I see a lot of you on. So if he doesn't, I will be bugging you guys to speak up. Hello, Dr. Dan.
Hey, Julie. Oh, how are you?
I am doing well. It is rainy and gloomy here, and with the snow that we had, it is quite foggy. So I'm trying to stay chipper, but the rain is just making me kind of drowsy.
Well, I feel a little bit different about this rainy, drowsy day. I have been quite ill off and on for these last 6 weeks, and today I feel great. So I feel grateful, and I am enjoying this rain because I ain't gone out today. So there. And listen, do you have a lot of love in your life?
I am very fortunate to have a lot of love in my life.
So here's the question. Can you feel that love in your body beyond knowing you're loved? Can you absorb it? Can you feel their love?
Yes.
Good. See, that was complicated for me, or it took a long time. You know, somebody said on this poll, do you have difficulty giving, receiving love, feeling it, and trusting it? And one person said, yeah, they had a problem trusting it. So after my accident, I felt useless and worthless, and, of course, unworthy of love and unlovable. And I got better and better and better, and I was feeling good about myself, my life, but I still couldn't feel in my body, couldn't feel the love of others. I couldn't feel the warmth, the trust, the sense of home that goes with feeling loved. And, you know, I realized that my heart was still closed. I could love easily and really express my love and love deeply, easily. I just couldn't trust the love of others. And that's when I realized, you know, I've been suffering for all these years with a closed heart, that I've got so much love around me, and I can't trust it. And the only way to open your heart is to find a safe place, a safe person, and let yourself rest and experiment with it. Experiment with feeling loved, being loved. So it's complicated. And I think it's complicated for all of us, Julie, you know, about do we feel worthy of love? Do we feel lovable? To me, that's the question. Disabled or not. Like I said in my chat comment, it's a complicated piece of business.
Now, Dr. Dan, do you feel that way? Do you believe you feel that way regardless of your disability?
I do.
So
I
it's
do.
just something like ingrained in you that.
Yeah, I grew up with this insecurity, always feeling I wasn't good enough, that if I performed this or accomplished that, then I would be good enough, and then allegedly, then I would be worthy of being loved. Of course, that never works out, does it? That's a grand illusion. But yeah, my accident actually helped it. Because I pretended I was smarter than I am. I pretended I was more self-confident than I am. All these pretense, my mask. And then, when that truck tire hit my car, my neck wasn't the only thing that was broken. My mask was broken too. So the accident, the disability, actually helped. I couldn't hide anymore. I couldn't pretend I was strong when I felt so weak. I couldn't pretend I was independent because I wasn't. Couldn't pretend I was invulnerable because I was, and it was visible. So in a way, a very weird way, it helped with that, the shattering of my mask. So, Julie, we heard from Dominique earlier that he wanted to chat. Dominique, are you still there?
I see him online, but I don't know if he has a microphone on his device that he's using. But oh yeah, he just said yes. So Dominique, please feel free to type in if you have any topic you want to talk about, or if you have a question specifically for Dr. Dan.
Or call in if you're able. I want to remember, Julie, what I called myself before when we talked.
A digital dimwit?
Yes, I'm trying to, and I actually don't mind that.
What were you trying to do?
I want to read a response I got from someone about difficulty receiving love. What somebody said, I feel tremendously loved, but feel like I can't show/pay back the love that, I got to go back to the beginning of the line, pay back the love that I can't feel she can pay back the love for people, always wanted to. So, it does feel like that way sometimes. You getting all this love, how can I give it back? As though, you sound similar to me. Like if I get anything, I've got to do something back that's of the same value or more. Love doesn't work that way. True love. I mean, what the Greeks call, there's lots of kinds of love. There's, of course, romantic love. There's filial love, a friend love. There is love based on anxiety, where people cling to each other, afraid of hurting one another, afraid of leaving one another, afraid of their own anger. They're that kind of anxious love. And then there's the actuarial love, the quid pro quo. Well, I showed my love this way for you, but you didn't show your love the way I wanted you to. So that's the accountant way, you know.
But do you actually say that to the person, or are you just thinking it in your head?
Oh, no, I've seen, well, you know, I've been treating couples for 40 years. So, yeah, they say it. I hear it often. I hear it often. I've done this, but you haven't done that. You know, it's like I'm sitting with an accountant or a mathematician. But then there's another kind of love, truly. And that's and to this woman who typed in her response, there's another kind of love, and it's what the Greek call agape, and it is open-hearted love, wishing only for the happiness and well-being of other. It has nothing to do with self. There's no expectations to it. Agape, just wishing for the happiness and well-being of other, even if they leave. Wishing for the happiness and well-being. Now, you know, you don't decide one day, well, I'm going to do that. But it can be cultivated. It can be cultivated because it's something that really happens in your heart, not in your head. So you can look at someone you love deeply. Look deeply into their eyes until you can see almost their soul. And wish deeply for their happiness and well-being. Do that enough, and you'll be able to love more. You'll be able to love more easily, and you'll find yourself happier in life. So, what do you think, Jewel?
I think the second kind of love is a good thought, but you lose yourself. I don't know, like, how can...
You mean agape, what I was just describing?
Yeah, like, how can anybody love you if you don't love yourself? I'm not saying that second kind of love doesn't mean you don't love yourself, but it's like, it's always like, you always hear, you have to be strong first, or you have to love yourself first, you know, in order for others to love you, or you have to take care of yourself first.
Yeah. You know, one way of caring for yourself is by learning to love more easily and more often. And the end result of that, you're better off, you're happier. And your list of needs diminish. That list of I need in order to whatever, that list shrinks after a while. Once you get a better sense of well-being, of living in the bosom of a loving community or a loving mind, you feel safer, you have more well-being. And I you know, a lot of therapists and others, philosophers, teachers, meditation teachers, they talk about self-love. I don't get it, you know. I can't love myself, you know. I'm not that attractive. I don't know, but I do have great compassion for myself and great respect for myself and great faith in myself. And maybe that all adds up to love. But like I said, ain't that attractive. So, you know, the self, no, you're right. This kind of love, this agape, is not about the self. It's only wishing for the welfare of others. Now, of course, if other hurts you repeatedly, you know, if you have self-compassion, you'll protect your heart. You'll care for yourself. But this kind of love, there's no self there. That's why I said you can't decide one day you're going to do it. Selfless love. It's hard. It's a wonderful idea. But, it takes work to get there. It takes a lot of letting go to get there. So, speaking of feeling loved and not loved, Julie, I'm not feeling loved by all the people listening to us. I'm just not feeling loved. And I love you guys. I'd love to hear one of your questions, comments, observations, or why you joined. Why did you tune in today? What is it you want to hear? So.
Yeah, for those of you, I'm just going to ask our operator, Robin, if she knows if people have joined us on the webinar and they have, are their lines open, are their microphones open, or are they automatically muted? Do you know, Robin?
Their lines are open.
Okay, so if you are streaming on your computer and your microphone, and you have a microphone, please feel free to chime in and let us know, why you joined us today, even if you're just saying hi.
There's somebody who's joined us, Julie, who sent in on my private, area in the Christopher Reed webpage. Very interesting question, and I responded as fully as I could, and she really prompted just this great response because of what it triggered inside of me. So, if that person wants to continue the dialogue, please feel free.
Right, and if you, if anybody wants to type in their question in the chat box, that can only be seen by Dr. Dan and myself. So, we don't have to mention your name at all either, but we would love to keep, talking about what you all want to talk about. So if there's anybody on the audio line, just say, excuse me, and then we'll be quiet and let you talk too.
Excuse me.
There
I don't know
go.
if you can.
Hello. I can hear you.
I don't know if you can hear me. My phone doesn't have a very much of a charge on it, so I'm hoping it lasts. I'm very impressed, even by this conference. I've just never heard of such a thing before. That it came up on my Facebook page. Thank you so much. There's just so many questions. I just don't know where to begin.
Well, take your time. Start with the first one.
The first one is, I don't know if it's a disability. I pushed my wheelchair. Well, of course I know that's a disability. I had polio, but what I mean is how to receive attention from other people, or to believe or to recognize it, I think is my biggest failing. I don't seem to recognize that. I like you. I just love people. I always wanted to be a humanitarian when I grew up. I'm old now. I'm hoping I grow up soon. But how do I recognize or trust or interest from other people? I don't know how. How do I?
Let me get in here and see if we can figure this out together. You and me. Could you give me a first name so I can call you something whether it's
Oh, my name is Carol. I did send a something on the printing part of this conference.
My friend, Carol. Hi.
Hi.
It's good to hear from you.
Yes, it's nice talking to you.
So let's think this through. Do you know what emotion stops you from opening your heart?
I don't know if it's an emotion or I think it's I don't know. I don't know.
Tell me about your relationship with Carol.
With myself?
Yeah, how do you feel about her?
How do I feel about her? My goodness. I'm amazed by her. In any given situation, if something surprises her, if I can speak like that, if something surprises her, if there's an emergency, she just jumps right in. She can't not. And in life you just go on with your life and you're not aware, and then suddenly you see someone in trouble and you just leap for it. And that amazes me. That surprises my heart. It wakes me up.
You said earlier that you're afraid of being. Yes? That's why you
Pardon?
don't. That's why you don't trust? You're afraid of being hurt?
I don't think I am. I don't think I'm afraid of being hurt. I think I don't recognize when love reaches out to me, and that is horrible.
They're kind of the same thing.
Yes, I guess they are. But
a closed heart, Carol, a closed heart, mistrust, the emotion with that is fear.
Yes.
It's always fear. Fear of being hurt, fear of being fragile, vulnerable, fear of being left, fear of repeating some great pain in your past.
But now I feel so brave. I feel like a knight in armor with his spear. I just want to thrust. I'm 65. Let's get over this and just go for it. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know where to begin.
Well, of course you could begin in therapy. Meditation is a great idea. What I want you to understand, and I'd love to understand of you, is that emotion or those emotions that interfere with your opening your heart and trusting, having faith. Because if it's fear of getting hurt, even hurt again, there's something in your brain that keeps telling you that you can't handle the hurt, that the hurt will somehow break you. And our brains don't remember that we've been hurt over and over and over again, and we're fine, thank you. But we remember the hurt and not the fine thank you part. So we don't have faith in ourselves. No. Love is about faith.
Pardon me?
You open your heart, you allow yourself to be loved. You don't have to be worried about getting hurt, I guarantee it. Who in love has not been hurt,
Yeah.
But what I also guarantee is knowing you, even the little bit that I do, you'll get hurt and you'll be fine, thank you. You'll stay and you'll love some more, you'll work it out, or you'll leave. Either way, you'll be okay. Look at you. Have you met you? No, you'll be okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I will.
cultivate that faith, my dear.
Yes.
All right. I look forward to seeing you on Healing the Heart and Mind.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Dan.
Congratulations on getting to the Medicare age.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Bye.
Carol, don't leave us. Don't leave us either, though, because if we have time, we'll come back to you. But Mason, I wasn't sure if you wanted to ask a question. If you're on the phone line, if you press *1, that should get you through. Robin, just let me know if I'm incorrect or if there's a way he can unmute his line.
Always are already unmuted.
Well.
So, Robin, is that correct? If he presses *1 on his phone, he can get through?
That is correct if he's connected to the audio portion.
Okay, thank you, Robin.
Julie.
Yes.
Will you do me a favor, please? I see a couple people have complained that I'm not talking loud enough. I'm going to try to talk louder, but
okay,
if my voice fades, will you tell me?
Sure. Before we get, so hopefully Mason can call in, but I just want to make sure, Dr. Dan, that you see the question that Sarah typed in.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read it because I've been absorbed with my new friend.
I know, I'm so excited.
So, Sarah, I joined you today because I do not have an SCI, but I am in a relationship with a man in a wheelchair. He keeps saying he is unsure if anyone will ever love him. I feel like I need to show him I love him, but want him to know I love him, and it's his current, and that his current condition is not an obstacle. Sarah, his current condition may not be an obstacle for you, and bless your heart if it's not. But it is for him. That's mine. When he says he is unsure if anyone will love him again, he's talking about himself. I am not sure if I will feel lovable or loved again. And Sarah, it is not your job to, quote, make him feel your love. Because if you do that, you'll fail, you'll get exhausted, and you'll get frustrated and want to leave. Understand that. Your job is to love this man, to love him deeply, every day. Love is how your eyes look when you see him. Love is knowing how he looks when his shoulders are up, if he's not that high a level person in a wheelchair. Love is, like we said, wishing deeply for his happiness, for him to be open to love in his life. Love for him is touching him where he has sensation, or even where he doesn't. That's love. It's not about how hard you work to, make dinner or make the house nice. It's sweet, and it is an act of love. But, when we experience this trauma, I'll talk about myself, and I think I'm not the only one. I felt like I was torn apart from humans. I look different from anyone I know. I got around differently from anyone I knew. I was different. And that was so upsetting, frightening for me. And I talk about the heart. My heart closed and like your boyfriend. I didn't think anyone would ever love me again. And, in hindsight, what I needed is that someone was patient with me and stuck with me so that I could trust them, whether I could feel their love or not, that I could trust that I'll get another urinary tract infection and they'll still be there, and a skin breakdown and they'll still be there. But I didn't trust it. I didn't have that. That's what I needed. And if you can do that, you're a treasure. You're a treasure for him. And, if you can love that deeply and that selflessly, I think you'll enjoy this relationship. If he ever felt love before he was in a wheelchair, if he ever experienced joy and happiness before, he'll get there again. We'll get there again. So, I hope that answered your question. 9 times out of 10, when I hear that last part of your question, what should I do? 9 times out of 10, the right answer is do less. There's a meditation teacher who wrote a book years ago called Don't Just Do Something, Sit There. And 9 out of 10 times, that's good advice. So just sit there and love him if you can. If you can hang in there, it'll be a treasure for him. So I appreciate your comment. I'd really love to hear from you and hear whether it was helpful or not, if you've got a follow-up question. And boy, I hope everybody was able to hear me on that. If not, holler at me again.
I heard you just fine. It's Julie. Mason, I was curious to see if you were able to get through, if there's anybody else on the audio portion that wants to talk. Maybe I'm still here. I know I hear somebody else on the line. Maybe that's still Carol. But if there's anybody else that wants to talk, please go right ahead.
I'm really curious about why you joined this conversation. Really curious about what is it about this love business that had you tuning in today. I say that to my audience when I give my lectures, right in the beginning. I say, you came here for a reason. You could have stayed home, which was easier. Just know the reason you came here and make sure you get your questions, your issues addressed.
Can I be heard now? I'm not sure if I'm just listening or I'm part of this conversation.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Hi. I'm not calling for myself, really, although I guess in a way I am. My son is 24 years old. He was injured just before his 22nd birthday. And, I was just listening to your previous answer, and he has shut himself off from all, really. I don't even know, I want to say relationships, because he really hasn't had the opportunity to be in one. But I know he doesn't feel lovable. I know he doesn't like his body. He's a C5, C6 injury. He is obviously, how he feels. He feels worthless. And I know when anybody feels worthless, whether they're injured or not, they're not ever going to be able to be in a relationship with anyone because they don't have anything to give. And I'm wondering what I could say to him, because it's really not, I mean, he hasn't signed on to this conversation, so he's not ready to reach out or to seek help or to join a group. He's not ready to do any of those things. But is there anything I can say to him? Or is it just going to be time that has to go by that for him to realize anything? I don't know.
Let me ask you a couple questions here. What was he like before the accident?
Oh, he was full of life. He, he didn't have a tremendous group of friends, but he had a group of friends that he really enjoyed spending time with, and he would go out, and he was social, and he was always planning the next activity. He was the planner.
No history of depression?
No history of depression, but he's very depressed now.
Of course. It might be, I don't want to say continued grief, because, this whole thing is a process. I'm 3.5 decades into this, and there's still, shadows that kind of bite me in the ass every now and then from this. I worked so hard to, I'm a C5-6, to hide my big belly. And, that's a shame issue. It's an insecurity issue. 3.5 decades later, it's still there. But given your son's history, there's every reason to believe that he'll get back to baseline. He won't get back there according to his timetable or yours. There's good reason to believe that he will get there. Now, you say you don't know what to do. I'll tell you what not to do.
Okay.
A big not here. Don't try to talk him out of it. All loved ones try to talk their loved ones out of negative feeling. And when we do that, we get on their nerves. Okay? I'm the voice of experience. I've been on both sides of that. When you try to talk him out of his feelings or disagree with him, then basically you're having a mild argument with him about the way he feels.
Well, I want to, I have to honestly say I don't do that, and neither does my husband. We validate his, or my husband doesn't really say much, but, I validate his feelings. I know that he got dealt, a bad, he got dealt a raw deal, and as did many of you. And
you say, one other thing that I want to flag here. You say, or he says, that he can't do anything, so he feels worthless. That is not true.
Well, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say he's not the great communicator, but I know my son very, very well, and he says he doesn't need people. He doesn't need anyone, which I know is not true. Everyone needs people.
Sometimes afraid.
He's afraid. He's afraid of rejection, I think. He's afraid of, he had been in a relationship with a young lady prior to his accident. They had broken up for reasons that are unknown to me. It was my son who initiated it. They remained really, really good friends. She comes from a few states away, and she was with him all, she came every other weekend to see him and be with him. And when he came home, she was a frequent visitor, and now he's pushing her away. Whether he thinks that she deserves more than him, or whether he doesn't care for her, I don't know. I just really don't know.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter.
Right.
He's pushing her away, and that's what matters. Who is with him the bulk of the day?
Well, truthfully, the bulk of the day Well, he lives with his father, and he lives with us, his parents. He goes to therapy 3 days a week for a few hours every morning. He is able to drive. He takes himself, but then he comes home to an empty house for a couple of hours at least.
Where do you live?
We live in New York.
Okay, here's what I'm going after. One of the things that turned me around was when I discovered that I could be helpful to others.
Mm-hmm.
Animals, children, adults, elderly. When I discovered that I could be helpful to another living being, that changed everything. And I am valuable. You know, if you can't do anything but be on the receiving end of care,
right,
there's no way you can feel good about yourself. But if you go out and focus more on other than focusing on yourself, you'll feel better, and you will ultimately feel like you're making a contribution to the quality of someone or something's life. So,
now, like in your profession, your career, I don't know if you were headed that way before you were injured, but in someone's life who, I mean, he had graduated college, he's a business major, but I mean, he could volunteer, I suppose. He could go around and talk to other young people, but you know, I don't know where his talents are. I don't know where where would he help someone? Where would you steer someone? Where could I direct him?
Doesn't matter. An animal shelter.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to read to kids in kindergarten, and by the way, I love doing that. That's the school for children with cerebral palsy, and I go there and hang out with the kids. It's the highlight of my year
mm-hmm.
to do that. Just hang out. You know, kids love people to hang out with. And I love hanging out with kids because they're always curious about wheelchairs, my wheelchair, and how it works. They're not, you know, kids are too wise to be judgmental about the wheelchair, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm. And I also feel, you know, I want to sort of push him towards a career, towards working. I feel if he got out in the world and he socialized more, I think that he would have something to give in that sense. And, you know, I don't know, he's going to need to support himself at some point, and, you know, he's not eager to do that either. And so, you know, that's another issue.
I wonder, it's only for years, I wonder if you could have, or if you do, have conversations with him about things other than his disability?
Yes, we do.
These weather politics.
Yes, you know, he's very well read. He's a very bright young man, and he, you know, he reads a lot, but he's fallen into, I think, a trap where in his free time he spends an awful lot of time playing video games.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know he's got to fill his time some way. You know, I'm not saying he shouldn't have some of these activities, but I think it's become a crutch, a way to while away the hours when the hours could be spent more productively.
Let me make a couple of suggestions here. I wouldn't push and don't work so hard offering suggestions. Well, I don't know if they're helpful or if one will hit. So here's two things I want to say to you. If in your discussions with him, and I would make the majority of your discussions with him outside, you know, books, movies, whatever.
Right.
But when you do talk about his disability, approach it with a curious mind and an open heart. Assume you know nothing. and just be curious. Because the ultimate question we have to ask each other is, what's it like to be you? I'm going to ask that question the first time I felt understood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and, hopefully one day they'll ask you that same question. What's it like? What's it like?
Right.
Inside your mind? How does the world look through your eyes? And the other, I said there were two things. The other thing is, my dear, you've got your own grief here. You've got your own process. And you, as a relatively new caregiver and a mother on top of it all, you're at very high risk for becoming emotionally and spiritually malnourished here.
Can't disagree.
He needs a healthy mother, healthy of mind, body, and spirit. And do that for him, and do that for you. You really need care. You really need care.
Okay, I will. I don't know exactly where to get it, but
Yeah, you can get it by a walk in the park.
Oh, I do all that sort of stuff. But
all right.
and I certainly anyone who wants to hear how I feel, I share. But but my real hurts. I mean, I for him, not for myself.
It's Julie from the Reed Foundation just chiming in. I want to remind you all that the Reed Foundation has a great peer and family support program, which is not only for it's for those impacted by paralysis, so it's for the caregivers, it's for the individuals living with paralysis. But you can find out more at christopherreed.org/peer. You can sign up.
I guess I will now. I mean, I had signed him up.
Yeah.
And a peer mentor called him, and I don't know if he.
Good.
And he spoke with him, but he hasn't called again, and so on.
Please sign up for yourself as well. And
okay.
it could come to the point, you were saying that, he needs something to do. If he reaches out, he could, eventually be a help to other people and become a peer mentor as well. And we also definitely, if you want to share more about your experiences, we have a caregiver discussion on our community, which is at christopherreed.org/community, which you can also find Dr. Dan there, and there's and chime in and get conversations going.
Okay.
Or if you just want to vent, just go ahead and vent. That's the place. It's a private community, and that's the place to do it. And you know what? I bet you, within a couple of days, Dr. Dan's going to come on and and talk right back. So. Okay. Those are definitely, suggestions as well. But I'm so glad you reached out to us. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you both.
I wish you the best.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye.
And Dan, I wanted to direct you to the chat box because Dominique has a question for you.
All right. I just want to give a quick response to Sarah Kincaid, who I addressed earlier. She said, thank you. I just want to love him. Should I be more verbal, meaning telling him my feelings or showing him through being patient and staying with him? And my answer to that is C, all of the above. It's always all of the above, Okay, Dominique, I have self-loathing since my husband referred to me as can't make love to that. And I've been battling this since 1998. I reached out to someone with whom I had been flirting with and got rejected soundly when I talked about just your disability. Give me a sec. I'll get my shaky hand on my mouse. I want to talk about relationships. So, just because Dominique said that to you, you have absorbed it as truth, because perhaps way back then, that's how you felt about you also. But people are always going to make comments about you. And whenever anybody says anything to you, about you, like your husband did, they're talking about themselves. They're not talking about you. And if you can live that way, I think you'll, have more well-being, be better off. Not being isolated, but when people judge you, that's about them. So, romantic relationships, after divorce, after accident, they're hard and they're complicated, and even more so for women than men, because women dealing with men with a disability, they're more likely to do it than men, just because women are better all-around humans. And I mean that. So, when you date someone or have a discussion with someone, speak from your heart and tell them not just about your disability. Here's the critical issue. Tell them what it's like, how you feel, even if there's some embarrassment and shame. Tell them what it has done for you in terms of your resilience or your ability to love, or whatever your truth is. But talk about the experience of the disability and not just the label or what doesn't move in your body or what doesn't have sensation. I hope that's helpful. I'm sorry he said that to you. I had a urologist once refer to me as being a half a man. I guess because I couldn't ejaculate. I don't know what the other half is, but that half was gone. And that wasn't about me. Of course, I was angry, and I thought he was a anal sphincter, but it wasn't about me. It was about what he thinks being a man is. And if he thought he was one, he wouldn't have made that comment, by the way. But it's about him. So I really wish you the best, Dominique, and I'm so grateful you joined this conversation. And I got to ask you, hang out with us on the Healing the Heart and Mind webpage. Start a discussion. I'll be right there. I'll be right there with you. So I wish you the best, and I sure hope I've answered your question. So, boss.
That would be me.
That'd be you. So
I am so happy to hear from so many people today. It just warms my heart talking about love and all, and
Valentine's Day.
And Valentine's Day, and just I feel like hopefully that people got to talk a bit and really absorb all that you were saying, because you have such a way with words that touches us all.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Just lucky. I mean, I was a school flunk out. I really got lucky on that. Man, did I get lucky.
Well, you're very honest, and you speak what's on your mind, and you speak in a way where you're not holding back, I mean, you're telling people that you are a pain in the ass, and you're telling people, you know what I mean? You're giving us permission to talk honestly.
Well, apparently I've given you permission to call me a pain in the ass just now.
You just called yourself...
And I feel loved when you call me a pain.
Well, you're welcome, you pain in the ass.
I feel understood. Listen, I too want to thank everybody. Remember, Valentine's Day is coming up. Remember, it's a Hallmark day, and it's for merchants to make a lot of money. So if you struggle with love, ignore it. Ignore Valentine's Day. I
agree with that.
I try to tell my girlfriend, it's a marketing day. She's not buying that, Julie. Yeah. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Please join me on Healing the Heart and Mind, and look forward to talking with you next month.
Yes, please. If you are on the web portion, I do have a slide up that has the URL where you can find Dr. Dan online and leave him questions at any time, and he will answer them. He's usually on the community every Wednesday from 3 to 4, answering your questions not only in his part but all over the discussion forum. But to get specifically to his part, you want to go to christopherreeve.org/Dr. Dan. And I want to remind everybody that this is being recorded so you can listen to it later if you've missed part of the conversation. And you will be able to watch the video, or listen to the video, I should say. It'll be up by the end of the week at christopherreeve.org/webcast. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today and for chiming in on the discussion so I don't have to talk so much. But I really appreciate it. And please look for the first Tuesday of next month for our next call with Dr. Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much, Julie. I love spending this time with you.
I do too, Dan. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.